Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today, the final day of 2024, oh my God, we're going to do a recap video on all the cool stuff we've gotten to do in the past year. December 31st is also my anniversary here at the Battleship. I started working on board on December 31st, 2017. So today starts my 8th year as curator here at the museum. So Libby helped me make up this list, and she has at the top of the list that we dry docked the Battleship this year. I can't believe that was this year. I'm pretty sure that was several years ago. There's no way that happened this year. It was like a lifetime ago. Dry docking the Battleship was a project that took years to plan and featured some very long days, but some very quick months. And before we knew it, the project was over. Really, this should be a short video because the entire first half of the year was taken up by dry docking. Closing the ship down, getting the ship prepared to go, doing the tow, doing the dry docking, bringing her back, getting her ready to go again, and then finally reopening 4th of July weekend. So already halfway through the year. That was some non-stop action. Believe it or not, Battleship New Jersey is not the only ship that we saw in dry dock this year. We also flew down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to see Kidd in dry dock. We only did that in the last month or two because it had been like 4 months since I'd gotten to see a ship in dry dock, and I just needed that fix. Wait, actually, Kidd and New Jersey aren't the only ships that we saw in dry dock. We also, as like a pat on the back at the end of the Battleship's dry docking project, decided it would be cool to go from seeing a former Navy shipyard to seeing a shipyard that's still fully active. And we drove all the way up to Bath, Maine to see several Arleigh Burke destroyers under construction. Some of them were still in the warehouse, some of them were on the slipways, one was in dry dock, and a couple were alongside the pier. The one at that time that was the furthest along was USS Barcelona. And we got to go up to New York City a couple of months ago to see her get placed in commission. We got a tour of her as well. Believe it or not, Barcelona is not the only ship we got to participate in the commissioning of this year. For the first time since 1991, when the Battleship was decommissioned, there is a USS New Jersey in active service. The Navy commissioned SSN 796 as USS New Jersey. She's a Virginia-class fast attack submarine, and her crew came on board to see the Battleship, and many of the Battleship's staff and volunteers got to participate in her commissioning ceremony. It was really cool to see Admiral Ronald Tucker, the final commanding officer of the Battleship, pass over the spyglass to the commanding officer of the new New Jersey, Commander Holly.
On February 8, 1991, I had the solemn duty to secure the last watch on the great Battleship New Jersey, Big J. Today, on behalf of thousands of very proud New Jersey sailors, I have the high honor to assist you in setting the first watch. So to the great submarine and the awesome crew that you command, hear the call now sounded to provide firepower for freedom.
Admiral Tucker was not the only one of the ship's commanding officers that we got to see this year. We were meeting him for the first time, but we also got to see Admiral Katz, who is the only other surviving commanding officer of New Jersey. Katz was in command right before Tucker took over, so they were the final two commanding officers. In addition to our commanding officers, we also got to meet the ship's last admiral, the last admiral to command from on board New Jersey. That's Admiral Paul Reason, who we met for the first time at his residence down in D.C. It was really great to hear their recollections. Both Admiral Tucker and Admiral Reason have fantastic memories, and I was absolutely amazed, given how many ships they served on during their 2 long careers, just how good their memory was of their time on New Jersey and how much they were able to tell us about the ship, particularly since those are the 2 who were on board during the ship's period of interpretation, during her final active deployment in 1990. They're not the only ones that we learned stuff from, though. We got to meet some of our other heroes this year. We hosted an 80th anniversary of the Battle of Leyte Gulf symposium on board the battleship. And so many of the naval historians whose books I've been reading all these years came to participate in that, and many of you guys came out to watch as well. So it was so cool meeting all of those people, some of them for the very first time. Old friends like Park Stevenson, who's the executive director of USS Kidd, and Paul Stilwell, who is the author of the book on the Battleship New Jersey, as well as Admiral Cox, the head of Naval History and Heritage Command, and former Secretary of the Navy Ken Brightwaith, who has also been on board the ship before. And Drakhinifel was back on board. And the author Marty Irons, all of which have been on board before and who we already know. But we also got to meet for the first time the well-known authors Anthony Tully and Robert Lundgren, who presented their new paper on the Battle of Suragawa Strait on board the battleship. Like I said earlier, Admiral Cox is the head of Naval History and Heritage Command, and the battleship has a very close relationship with them as the curators of the Navy and the holders of all the Navy artifacts. So we got to go down to their warehouse where they have all the artifacts that aren't on display at either one of the Navy's museums or one of the museum ships like Battleship New Jersey. And we got to see some artifacts relating to the ship, and we also got to pick up some objects that were coming back on board. It was super cool seeing the Navy's Indiana Jones style warehouse just filled with objects. To pick up the things we needed to, they told us to just drive in the front door, go down to the Japanese submarine, make a left by the torpedo, and go on for another quarter mile to get to the end of the building where the objects were. That was crazy. We also got to see our friends from NHHC at the Historic Naval Ships Association conference in September. And while we were there, they gave awards out to a number of ships that have done really cool projects this year, including to Battleship New Jersey for our successful dry docking project. In addition to visiting Midway while we were in San Diego for the conference, we also got to visit the ships at the San Diego Maritime Museum. And in addition to them, we got to see USS Kidd, which I already mentioned before, in dry dock, and the Coast Guard cutter Angela McShann. I might have even gone to Texas again this year. That trip was right before dry docking. I can't remember which end of New Year's that happened on. In addition to the stuff we got from Naval History and Heritage Command, we were also able to get some macro artifacts back on board the ship to make her look more like she would have during her period of interpretation. The things that are most exciting are probably the Harpoon missile launchers and the drone control antenna dome that we put on the aft stack, which was made for us by Infinite Technologies. The Navy didn't just help us by giving us some surplus Harpoon tubes, they also opened up some of the ships in the reserve basin for us to strip parts off of. We got to take, it ended up being close to 2.5 tons of primarily radio equipment and galley equipment off of, I think it was 3 of the Perry-class frigates there. And we're getting ready to go back in about a month to take some more parts off. They've opened some more ships up for us to strip. In addition to adding that stuff back on the ship, we've also been able to add to the scholarship relating to the ship. Now that dry dock is over and we're not focusing on this half-decade-long project, we've been able to get back down in the collection space again and do some research in there and start to go through some of the things that, quite frankly, have been neglected for the last couple of years. And we found a lot of cool stuff, many of which have been on videos before. So be sure to go back and watch some of the roughly 300 videos we produced this last year. But maybe the coolest thing that we found were the blueprints for the ship's potential conversion into a battle carrier with turret 3 removed and a flight deck for vertical takeoff and landing aircraft installed in its place, which led us down a huge research rabbit hole that is still ongoing and that you can bet we're going to continue into 2025. But if you want to hear about some of our plans for the future, you're going to have to wait until tomorrow night's video where we talk about stuff that we have planned for 2025. 2024 has been an amazing year, and that's largely thanks to the support that all of you guys have given us. We wouldn't have had the time to do this research. We wouldn't have had the time to host these events. We wouldn't have had the financial wherewithal to get the ship to dry dock without your support. And we really appreciate the help you guys have shown the museum this year. And we look forward to you guys continuing to participate in the channel and the museum in the coming years. What's your favorite memory of 2024? Let us know in the comments section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to make one more donation before the end of the year. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.